I don't want my data used to train AI companies.
That's an interesting one because, I mean, Joe, we've seen a range of different people that we've interacted with have different perceptions again, and that's from all the news that comes out initially on, well, I don't want my data to be used, because we look at even a lot of the lawsuits that are coming out now in terms of training the model, where these big companies, tech companies, are pretty much scraping everything that's out there and building their model. So, you have concerns, well, I don't want to feed data to it. I don't want data leaving my kind of secure environment and going away. And I know that, from what we've locked down, there's been, such a movement towards containing everything. And, also companies, being completely, from a security perspective, completely compliant with that, and also building them into the environments. Like we've seen with Microsoft, for instance, with Azure OpenAI, having, it contained in your own development environment. So your data's not leaving anywhere.
It's a technology like any other, right? You've got your data and you're giving it to a third party, right? I don't think the landscape's really changed compared to giving your data for any other purpose to a company to do some analysis on, or data analysis, or anything like that. You're handing over your data, and it's all just about the trust that you have with what they're going to do to that data and the agreements that you have. Right now, with things like ChatGPT, if you're putting your company data into that, the agreement is with ChatGPT, they are going to use that to train their own models. They're going to ingest that. I mean, you just need to be aware of where your data is going. But, once you're aware of that, you can look at alternatives if you don't want your data going out, and you, again, choose something like Azure and deploy your own model within your own Azure space and just use that, and it doesn't go anywhere. The question comes down to, is my data going to be used to train AI companies? Again, the answer is, has your data been used anywhere else before? Same agreements stand. I think you just got to be aware of the options out there, how sensitive your data is, and then there's obviously costs around, you want to build something yourself, or you want to use a third party, what's cheaper, what makes sense to you. Just got to work through that.
So what are we saying there? We're not entirely busting that as
No.
I think we can kind of say, look, there are setups that you can use that will be optimized to any level of security you would need.
Correct.
Or they're ones that can make your data external and used for training. So I think at least we can answer that and say, for anyone that is sitting on the fence and thinking, well, I'll never use one of those, it's not the case. You can tighten it down as, it can be as tight security-wise as you want it to be.
I think the only thing about data and what I've seen is there's one called Poe. It's for Quora. Everybody has probably seen that website or visited one time or another. It's kind of like a Reddit, but people answer questions. Basically, they use their AI to take questions and answers from other people and then, post that as the answer. So before, people were getting credit for answering those questions and seen as the expert. Now, with whether it's Google or somebody else, if they're not referencing who made that comment or that answer, I think it's completely unfair, because you don't know where it's coming from, the source. And not taking credit for it is really concerning too, for the people that actually are creating the content and are taking the effort to do something like on Quora, where it is free.
I think Bert and I were jumping onto, I'm a company with data, and I need to, get the AI to answer questions on that data, and I want to send that data out. That's where Billy and I were going. You're more talking about data in terms of that's really out there. Like, you've already published it, you've answered questions before, or you've created art, or you've written a book, or whatever the case is. Your material is out there, and now AI is using that to train itself. There's nothing you can do. You didn't come to that agreement. That's a totally separate side of data concerns, at least from business perspective, but just as valid. And this was a bit of a breakaway, but even with stuff like AI art, there's a huge backlash against that, because so much of it was used to train their models without any consent. They just sort of scraped a whole bunch of huge art sites and just sort of built that up. And there's a really negative perception on that.